Good morning, Joan. It's Saturday. But you steal my ideas again and I'll probably do nothing, really. Joan, I like the idea of our girlfriends choosing our punishments, but I vote that my girlfriend doesn't choose my punishment, but chooses your punishment, and your girlfriend doesn't choose your punishment, but chooses my punishment. I'd like to start this themed week on cultures that everyone else hates but we love with my favourite cultures that I love that everyone else hates, Chavs. So I'm sure that you, Joan, are quite aware of what a chav is. But for your American friend, I'll summarise. They're basically apes, without the beauty, or grace, or intelligence. A popular acronym for chavs is council-housed and violent. So Joan, I hear you ask, why is the chav culture so interesting? Because it's the evolution of the previous working-class youth, the skinheads and the rockers and the punks. This fashion-conscious, anti-government, rebellious ideology mixed with the kind of urban black gang culture has created the Nike, monstrous, Burberry things we see haunting our council estates today. So the primary focus of the common chav is the old punk motto of sex, drugs and rock and roll. But they've subsequently changed the rock and roll to something called R&B, or dubstep. The sex basically only has one criteria, that the members of the opposite gender have a pulse. That's about it. A desirable chav to mate with will be the one with his trousers low as possible, which makes him walk like he's kind of shit himself. He'll have the most expensive Nike trainers, the most gelled down, shortest hair to his scalp, and of course the best connections to buy drugs and tobacco. Now, mating in the chav culture is not seen as a form of continuing the species like most other cultures, Joe, and it's rather seen as a form of competition between the female chavs, or the chavette. The aim of this competition of having children is to see who can have the most children by the most different fathers and then claim as many benefits off the government as they can. Dog just barked. Shh! Shut up! Shut up! Try to vlog here. Oh my god! Now John, I hear you ask about the little chavs, the ones who aren't quite old enough to do all the sex and drugs and rock and roll or R&B. Well, of course they'll try to emulate the chav culture by drinking Red Bull and Lucozade and hanging around in little packs. While of course the older chavs will be at Tesco's drinking cheap beer and cider. It is Cornwall. Now, when you see a chav, they mostly appear to have a lower intelligence level than the average human being. That is, of course, due to their lack of education, possible bad parenting, and overall disinterest in the rest of humanity. Whilst having babies is a form of competition among the female chav, the male chavs will have a different form of competition. Chavs are known for their antisocial, violent behaviour, and a form of competition between the male chavs is the gaining of an ASBO. Joan, I hear you ask what the natural enemy of the chav is. Well, it has two natural enemies. The first is, of course, the police officer. But the second main enemy of the chav is, of course, the bus shelter. I doubt there's a singular bus shelter in Britain that hasn't been weed on, vandalised, or graffitied by a chav group. It's generally hard to find a lone chav imitating because they most often move in packs, strength in numbers, and their hobbies are generally verbally abusing the old, the weak, and the young. Although they seem to gain nothing for this, a chav needs to feel good about himself because it's very likely he has a small penis or some kind of issue somewhere else. So Joan, that's my culture that I love that everyone else hates. Why do you love it, James? I hear you say. That sounds like a horrific culture. Well, I think the G generation of humanity is one of the most interesting things and scary things out there. And if we can't look at what scares us as interesting and try and avoid it, then I don't know what else we should be in love with doing at the moment. Joan, I look forward to your culture that you love that everyone else hates, and I'll see you on Wednesday.